Roske on politics. First of all, thank you for filling in.
It was a blast, but welcome back.
Thank you.
I tried to keep the chair warm for you.
You
Not
did.
too warm.
No.
I don't know if it was fine.
It was just the right temperature. We got that. Okay.
So lots to talk about today. The Pope just spoke before Congress. NBC News said,
how did it go?
NBC News said his speech invoked Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King, and the Catholic social activist Dorothy Day. New York Times just wrote, taking a podium never before made available to the Bishop of Rome, Pope Francis arrived at Capitol Hill Thursday morning as a missionary of peace, preaching to a Congress that has known little of that in recent years. Okay. One thing that's being overshadowed just a bit by the Pope's visit is that the president of China is in D.C. Our president is having dinner with President Xi Jinping tonight.
Yeah, our governor had a meeting with him on Tuesday, so busy guy.
So this is what USA just wrote this, though. The Obama administration has accused China of cyber espionage on U.S. government. It has also protested the Chinese military buildup of the South China Sea. China, meanwhile, has accused the U.S. of spying on it and interfering with internal manners, is what USA Today says.
So this is a great meeting.
Maybe an icy dinner tonight. We'll see.
Let's go out to eat. Yeah.
Let's share some macaroni and cheese. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to have. But anyway, do you folks, Lou, while you were away last week, we chatted with the folks from the Chrysalis Foundation. You remember that? They came in.
An amazing organization.
Yeah. So Miss Hernandez came in and she was talking about Liz Murray. Now, this is I always say about politics, people who haven't watched the show, they say, "What's your show about?" Well, certainly right now it's a lot of presidential candidates. That's the hot news. Right. But the show also aspires to talk about other things. I believe that everything that you deal with in city, national, local government is affected by politics, to your kids' education, to your health care, etc. The Chrysalis Foundation was talking that day about Liz Murray. You might recognize the story. Lifetime made a movie. Thora Birch actually played this woman, Liz Murray, and Ellen Page plays her sister in the project. Liz Murray, the byline is homeless to Harvard. She wrote a book about it called Breaking Night. I was fascinated by this. I knew a little bit about her but wanted to meet her, so I accepted the Chrysalis Foundation's invitation and went to the Yes Youth Shelter that day and chatted with Liz Murray, and we've got just a little clip of it here. Let's take a look. So 15 years old, you're homeless. I mean, to get into Harvard University, it doesn't matter if you have the best home life in the world.
Right.
To achieve that goal, where did you find the inspiration to think, I just might be able to do this?
Well, I didn't think, okay, well, let me go back to school and then I'll go to Harvard. And I know people plan their whole lives. And I learned later on that people will send their child to a certain preschool, to a certain grade school. There's a pipeline. I didn't know any of that. I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to perpetuate the cycle that I had come from. And that cycle had really become visible to me because, not only because it was so in my face, but when my mother passed away when I was 16, she had always said to me, get your education, go back to school. Don't do what I did. She had an 8th grade education. Lizzie, go back. And so with that in mind, and when she passed away, it was such a powerful message to be left with that I kind of really dug into school and decided to get the best grades I could get. I didn't have anywhere to live at that time, so I was sleeping in my friends' houses. And then I was like, well, I mean, if you grow up that way, though, you just kind of get used to the next thing you have to do. Today I'll sleep on the D train, tomorrow I'll sleep in the hallway. But I had this idea, I just have to get to school on time. I just have to get there early. I had this picture in my head of my transcripts. I have to get straight A's on my transcripts. It was like an obsession. And then I was able to do that and kind of hide that I was sleeping outside.
You said your mother had an 8th grade education.
Yes.
But so education wasn't necessarily a part of your family history.
It was part of our family narrative, even if it wasn't. Well, my father, he had been in a PhD program and dropped out when he became addicted. Brilliant man. My mother was a brilliant woman. But even in my mother's loss of not having an education, she lamented all the time, Lizzie, I should have gone to school. My life would have been different. Education is everything. And even she knew what she had lost. She was legally blind and so had trouble seeing the board and, had a lot of health issues and abuse. And she just she was homeless as a teenager. So there was this sense of her having lost her opportunity for education that kind of lingered over her. And I think it's very powerful how we speak. I'm fond of saying, people will grow into the conversations you create around them, and my mother said education, and my father had this education he almost finished. And so I had that lingering over. And in fact, many years later, when I did go on to Harvard, my father wrote me a card and said, Lizzie, I left my dreams behind a long time ago, but I know now they're safe with you. And that was kind of the sentiment. So as I'm out there on the street, sleeping where I can, going to nonprofits, which was everything, to have pantry packs filled with food and hot meals and doing the homework, Harvard came into the picture just because I'd been doing very well in school, and though my teachers did not know that I was homeless, they included me on this field trip for students who were getting good grades. And we went to Boston, and we walked through Harvard Yard, and I looked, I know it sounds simple, there's Harvard, but we were walking through, and I think sometimes it's just knowing that something is a possibility, and my teacher looked at me, and I looked at him, and he said, it would be a reach, but it's not impossible. Why don't you apply?
Wow.
Yeah.
You said something just a minute ago that I don't want to let just go by. You said, I'll sleep on the D train.
Yeah.
Sleeping on trains when you're, 15, 16 years old?
15, 16, 17, yeah.
What is that like? Tell a story about that.
Well, okay, I grew up in the city, so it was just very familiar with being outside, and even from being a small child, I walked around outside all the time. Like, my parents were getting high, I kind of didn't want to be around it because it was out in the open on the syringes and the kitchen table, like no secret. Wow. So it was not what I wanted to be around. Okay. So I always made friends, and we always hung out all night, and I'd often come home when the sun was coming up. And in the Bronx, we have this slang term, when you stay up all night until the sun rises, you're breaking night. So, I'm going to break night with my friends. That's why I named my memoir Breaking Night. So it was kind of in my blood that was something people did. And you don't realize you're going to end up homeless at first. You think whatever, half-brain plan you have is going to work out. And at the time, when I was 15, I thought, I'll sleep at so-and-so's house for this week or that week. And I didn't see it coming that eventually people said, okay, well, Liz, you've been here how many nights? You can't stay again.
So fascinating chat with Liz Murray, and you're going to see a lot more of that on Sunday's show. We go even further into her parents' addiction and what she was doing down there. Now, it's called Youth Emergency Services Shelter, and you've met him as well. Steve Schmidt runs the place. Amazing gentleman. We chatted with him on camera as well. But Sunday, if you're looking for more politics, I also have Hillary Clinton talking about the Keystone Pipeline. I sat with Lindsey Graham. We talked about Trump and a bunch of other things, ISIS, and Bobby Jindal about a bunch of different things, Planned Parenthood. But the Youth Shelter, it's YESS Iowa.com, and a fantastic group. I appreciate having the show, and I hope that people get inspired to action because it's a great group. They help around 50 kids a day, around 1,200 a year that literally have nowhere to go. And these kids aren't dropped off in a minivan. They are showing up there with nowhere else to go. So fantastic group doing good things.
Now, where's their facility located now?
It is just down, kind of by 14th.
It's off of 14th Street, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah, not quite down to the Home Depot and the Walmart down there.
Down in that area.
Yeah, kind of by the car dealerships over there. But real nice facility. They just added some more beds. But like I said, they've got around 50 kids a day, and they had just received a 2-day-old infant. Or baby, that literally someone just said, "Here's a baby, please care for it." So,
it's a great organization.
At least we have them, but obviously can use your support.
They need support. They need private donations. They need help every day. They need assistance. So YESSIowa.com. Check them out. See more of my interview Sunday. Roske on Politics, 9:30 on 5, 11:30 on 23, 5:30 on Channel 19.
Perfect. You got it. Thanks, man. Everybody, take it easy. See you next week.
Good.
It is 9:51. We'll be right back after we pay these bills. Jackie tells us some great things going on.